Hey, I made these little printable eyes and I wanted to show you guys how to make them. And I just made these with some simple printer paper. I am also going to include this printable paper in the description of my video if you're interested in trying it for yourself. Though the downloaded one might look a little different from the one I'm using. And really what I wanted to do with this video is show you the different methods and ways you can make your paper usable for inserts. I'm going to keep this in for continuity, but I totally got too excited and I decided to cut these eyes out even though I need to prep my paper first. So watch me make a horrible mistake here by cutting these out too early. But what I really need to do is I need to dry this ink out. Now, if you're doing this at home, I would say wait a day or two for your paper to dry fully. You mainly just want to dry the ink out so it doesn't smear when you're working on it. But I'm using a hairdryer to rush it for this video. Here, I added some tape to the back so it's protected. And if you can see on my paper, it is a little wet still. And yes, I didn't forget my little one that I cut out. Now this isn't the most professional guide, but I am going to show you some do's and don'ts that I've learned over doing my own art. I am going to label these eyes so you know what works, what doesn't, and it's there to keep track of what I'm using. For this one, I'm going to use nail polish. That's why I marked it with P. It's just a top coat that I have on hand. I want to show with this set of eyes what the effect of just polish on paper without anything. And you can see it did melt a little bit of the paper, but honestly it doesn't look too bad, but it did mess up the white part of the eye as well. And for this set of eyes, I'm going to show you what happens when you just use resin on the paper without any kind of sealant. And I am just using a UV resin. I'm just gonna brush that on to at least show you what it does to brush paper. As you see, it really did eat up that paper. It also ruined some of the ink and it just makes it look really bad. That's why you gotta add a protective layer of Mod Podge on all of your eyes, which I will show you. Yeah, I just use a very simple matte Mod Podge. It does look a little cloudy, but it does dry clear, so don't worry too much about that. And since I didn't wait for my ink to fully dry on my printer paper, it did bleed a little bit, but I don't think it really ruined my eyes, so I'm not really worried about it. In the last two set of eyes here, I'm gonna just use some tape and varnish. And yeah, I did forget to put some Mod Podge on these other sets of eyes. And I do use this method to make my glass eyes as well. It's just simple printer paper, resin, and a little glass piece. Now, I never tested varnish without any kind of prep, so I want to see how it reacts with the paper. And it is cloudy when wet, but it dries clear, just like the Mod Podge. And I did almost forget about these little ones I cut out, and I want to just show you how I absolutely struggle trying to prep these little eye inserts. I don't know, I got too excited and I cut it so early because I really like these sets because I think Dada's eyes are so cute. Having a really big heart in the middle, I don't know, it just gives me some joy. But I'm really gonna have to struggle a bit here trying to not get all of my gloves dirty with this. And of course there's some dirt on it too. Yeah, definitely don't cut it out before you put your Mod Podge or any kind of polish on it because you're gonna be, like me, slowly trying to get this thing out the way. And here you can see that all of the Mod Podge dried for the first layer. And I do notice that the blue eye I did kind of wrinkle, so oops. But the polish and the varnish surprisingly don't look so bad without any Mod Podge, so if you want to be a little lazy, just maybe try it, but make sure make sure the ink is dry, not the paint. There's no paint on this. Now I did mark these eyes so we can experiment, so you can see what looks best and maybe pick out what you want to use for yourself. Now for purple will be Mod Podge, the yellow will be Mod Podge and resin. This pair is going to be Mod Podge Polish and Glitter, and this one's going to be Mod Podge Resin and Glitter. and I kind of forgot the blue one down here. I guess this one's going to be, maybe just Mod Podge and Varnish. And no, I didn't forget about Dada's eyes. That one's gonna just be Mod Podge and polish. And here I'm gonna add a second layer of Mod Podge just to make sure that all of the ink is sealed. And I forgot to mention this, but make sure that you go a little bit past the eye in case any of your resin or your varnish spills over. That way your paper around the eye doesn't get damaged and it won't like rip it apart or anything. Now, I'm gonna try to use some tape here and see if it looks good. I think it might actually look fine if you don't put your fingerprints on it and it's completely smooth, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to maneuver. Though I think I'm only having a hard time because I am using gloves. I'm just going to try and show you. And this is where I've realized that I should have spaced out my eyes a bit farther apart from each other so it'll be easier for me to put the tape on, but you know, I'll do that for you guys. You know, this is just my mistake for me. And of course my camera's out of focus here, so sorry about that. But honestly, I think the tape doesn't look so bad. I think you can get away with just using tape if you have a really good printer. And for my yellow set of eyes, I'm going to use resin. If you do plan on using resin, I definitely recommend opening up some windows to get some good ventilation so you don't so you don't breathe in all of those bad fumes. And when you do use resin, you do have to set it with a UV light for a couple of minutes. Now that it's set, I'm going to go see the difference between the prepared resin versus just the resin on paper. And there is a pretty stark difference in comparison between the two. And I will say that resin does make your paper eyes look a little bit more professional, but it does take a little bit more time. Now for Dada's eyes, I am just going to use polish on it. And again, I really do wish I didn't cut them out so quickly. Now for these last sets of eyes, I do want to try some glitter, but I never really tried glitter on this type of material before, so hopefully it'll work out for me. So for this, I'm going to mix some polish, just regular nail polish with the glitter, and then I'm gonna brush it on. Now I will probably have to add another layer of polish on this. And now I'm gonna test out the resin with the glitter. Now I'm just gonna shove the glitter into the resin like I did with the polish and paint it on. And we cure the resin again. And for the last set of eyes here, I am going to do varnish. I never used varnish for my eyes before, and seeing it kind of melt without the Mod Podge did make me a little nervous, but I'm going to try it again here and see if it looks any better. I will say, varnish is very watery on this paper, but hopefully it dries out fine. And while that varnish is drying, I'm going to go ahead and put some more polish on the set of eyes so that it dries even and it doesn't have any gaps and holes because of the glitter. And I'm doing the same for the resin. I need to add an extra layer. And I am going to have to cure it again, of course. You really don't want to leave resin to just sit around in your room because it is very toxic and it just smells awful. So please, if you haven't already and you are using resin, make sure everything's ventilated. Now that we have all the eyes prepped, I'm going to go ahead and cut them out and see which ones look the best. We have the polished without any Mod Podge. We have the glitter and resin here, if my camera can focus. I actually really like these sets. I think they're really pretty, and they do look a little bit better in person than on camera, because I do have a lot of lights on in my room. And this poor resin one without any Mod Podge really shows how much the resin actually eats away at this. I think I've said this like 10 times, but it looks so sad, I'm so sorry. And the varnish looks like it didn't eat at the paper, but it did kind of wash out the ink. So I would probably put Mod Podge with the varnish if you're going to use varnish. The Mod Podge with the varnish definitely looks a lot better compared to the varnish alone. And I did accidentally wrinkle this here, so oops. And this pair of eyes with the tape doesn't look so bad. I mean, if you had a printer that had better ink or better toner, I think this would look really nice if you just use tape. You just have to make sure that there's no wrinkles or fingerprints, or else it's gonna look cheap. And this is just with double layer of Mod Podge. I guess if you want like matte eyes that don't really shine, you could use the Mod Podge version. And this is with the polish and the glitter. I think I might have clumped up the glitter a bit with the polish, so I think I would have to add a little bit less glitter than I did with the other set of eyes. So I'll have to keep that in mind for future reference. And this is the one with just Mod Podge and resin. I do like resin a bit more than the others, only because the way the texture feels and how it looks very clean and glossy, but if you can do cleaner brush strokes, I'm sure you can make polish look like the resin as well. Like here, this is Dada's eyes. They're really closely similar, but I think the resin is just a little bit thicker, so maybe if you add a couple more layers of polish, it could imitate that kind of look with the resin. It's really up to you what you want to use though. I just like how solid and stiff the resin makes the paper feel. The polish is a little bit more flimsy compared to the resin, but it still can imitate the look. And here's all of the usable sets of eyes that I have here. And now I'm just gonna cut them all down to size here so they can actually fit inside the Labubu. And now they're all ready for use. Now these are my favorite set of eyes. These are the eyes that I'm going to use though. And of course, in order to add eyes, I gotta remove them. Now, I did have a video already showing how to do this, but I kinda just like showing it off again because it makes me laugh every time people react to it. And I like torturing my Labubu, I guess. I don't know what to say. And here are my eyes in the eye chips. I think they fit well, and I think I did a good job with the size. And I gotta go back and heat these guys up because I have a really hard time putting these eyes in unless my vinyl is very, very hot and soft, you know? So, what can I say? Sorry, Labubu, I had to cook you again. And this I'm going to show in real time. I don't think it really matters. I don't think people care. But I'm just gonna shove it in as quickly as I can. I've gotten pretty good at this. And this poor little Labubu in particular, I think I've taken the eyes out like 3 or, no, not more than 3, like 6 or 7 times already. It's just, this poor guy, I keep changing the eyes out over and over again. Practice, I guess, I don't know. And I always double reheat the other socket just because that other socket has like a smaller peg and it's way harder to put in than the first eye that I put in. Well, for me anyway. I don't know, it might be easier for you guys, but for me, I have a hard time with this set. And of course, I freaking recorded it out of focus, so you can't even see what I'm doing, like a ding dong. But my actual video, I have like it in focus and proper. And here's the finished look of it on the actual doll. I think it looks pretty good. And if anyone can tell me where these eyes are based off of, I would love to see if you guys can guess it. But that's pretty much it. I'm really bad at ending videos. But I hope this video helps in any way. Maybe you can use any of the methods I showed you to make your own little eye chips. I just wanted to make these videos to encourage people to try to customize their Labubus, because I see a lot of people want to do it, but they're always too afraid to, and I think using a lot of accessible tools like this can make it less intimidating.